Welcome and thank you for joining me. This is Laurie of Laurie's Heirloom Sewing. And today I'm just going to do a video of some of my past sewing projects because I'm waiting for certain fabrics to arrive and a pattern to arrive that they're just not lining up. I have some fabric that's here and some that's on the way, and the pattern is supposed to be delivered today. And then in the process of thinking about what I was going to sew, I realized I don't have a major component. I need some elastic, some 1-inch wide knit elastic that I will have to order as well. So my plan for the day is to kind of go over some of the projects that they're in the back of my mind. They're projects I want to do. So pieces and parts of old projects that I should finish. For example, this is a little, I may have shown it before, but it's a little tiny piece of Barissima that I was learning, oh my gosh, that was so long ago, how to do a hand-rolled hem. Right there. How to do an eyelet and a flower. Let's see if I can get that. This I was going to use, and I'm pretty sure I have shown this before. I haven't finished it yet, but it is a piece of shadow embroidery. You can see the back right there. And this is with a single strand of floss. So it's yellow floss and it's cotton floss on yellow Swiss batiste. And then this was also shadow embroidery on, it looks like, I believe that's purchased ecru. Okay. So this was to be initials, and it was a font that was taken from one of the very first editions of Microsoft Word. So it would have been like in 94, 95 on my computer. I don't know what that is. But anyway, I can't find the font. This would have been a J. As ridiculous as that appears, that would have been the J, because it is supposed to be J-A-E, and that looks nothing like a J. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it. I may just add some flowers and just kind of zhuzhify it, and then cut that out and put it like on the inside of a page of a needle book or something. I don't know, but I'm not getting rid of the fabric, and I'm not getting rid of all that work. So there's that. This one here that we started on yesterday, I'm still working on the shadow embroidery, which actually you can kind of see a little bit better due to the fact that it's facing the window. This, there's more. This was a class packet. It's smocking with silk ribbon. That was one of my classes that I taught, which I loved. That was one of my favorite. In fact, let's just take a look. There's just something about smocking with silk ribbon that, I don't know, I just love it. So, I mean, look how beautiful the stitches look. I'm hoping that's showing up. And not really. There we go. The way that silk ribbon just lays nice and flat. It fills a lot of space. I think it is just absolutely gorgeous. And with this class, I had a whole lot of students who could actually use this panel in a little yoke dress for a child. And oddly, I have two pleated panels, which I know are for a yoke dress. Here's another little class I used to teach, and I think I have, and this one as well. I used to do this lace shaping. This is an old little pillow. Oh. Do it like that. I have a wreath. Half of the bow is done. I've got some flowers in here, and then the rest of it is just penciled on. And I would have been doing it for probably my own children. I just don't know which child. And I have literally no recollection of what it was for. So, and why did I stop? This is one of my classes that I used to teach. It's for a little heart-shaped needle book, needle case that opens like, where's mine? It gets like put behind something or in something or under something. So here it is. I made it out of silk dupioni. I had tons of this in my shop. All right, so what I was going to talk to you about was something, it's very simple and it's very smart, and I did not do it. I didn't practice what I preach. If I had just, not this, but if I had just made a note about this little baby day gown, I would know, is it Swiss Batiste? Is it Barissima? What is this fabric? What is the pattern number? Who am I making it for? Was this a class? I have no clue. Was this something I was making for someone else? Gosh, I hope not. I have my initials up here at the top, but that's all I've got. There's no other, aside from the markings on this piece, I don't even know what is supposed to be done. I can kind of guess, but it's ridiculous that this isn't stored in some capacity with information about what it is supposed to be and why I was making it. Seriously. Okay, same thing for this. Was this something I was doing for someone? Is this a class I was teaching? Did somebody ask me to do? I don't think that's, I mean, it just looks like maybe I was doing a test with smocking dots. Don't know, not a clue why I have these. And if I had just made a note that I was doing it because of the reason, anything, just any information at all would have been fabulous. And this one, the other day, we all know, I was trying to remember, did I put this together? I don't think I left that in the video. It might have been a we care gown. I used to do we care for the hospital in Wichita, and it might have been this. What was this going to be for? This, the only thing I can tell you for sure is that it was a horrible font that was just not turning out the way I thought it was going to turn out. And this is the most intriguing weirdness of all. Why on earth? It's It's my smocking thread. That's my signature orange right there. Orange, however you want to say it. It's clearly mine, but why did I smock half and not the other half of this little bishop? And why did I make it out of gorgeous fabric and then just abandon the project? What in the name of all that is good and heirloomy was I thinking? Okay, this was, oh, well, would you look here? Here is, this is the one with the little placket. Okay, I vaguely remember taking this class. This was everything, every single thing was going to be done by hand. Every stitch from the beginning to the very end of this little project. And that is what that is for right there. I believe this may be part of this. Okay, it's all starting to come back. Yep, that's got to be it because they're matching up beautifully. Of course, I've got this one turned around the wrong way because if you were going to do a French seam, obviously you wouldn't have your markings on the inside. So, okay, that's what this is. It's all part of that same. All right, perfect. I'm so glad I figured that out. So I went to a class in Arkansas with a friend of mine who lived in Kansas. But anyway, so we went to this class, and this is all part of that class, and every single solitary thing on this dress had to be sewn by hand. So my hand sewn little pin tucks, and then that we were going to do eyelet embroidery on here, and there's more pin tucks on the back side pieces right here. I don't know if you can see these little marks right here. There's some marks for where the pin tucks go, and then the side seam was marked because you would have a bigger side seam. There you go. Okay, so this time I'm going to make a little needle case, but I'm not going to use silk dupioni. I am going to use Barissima. Now for this, I'm going to need to cut 4, or I'm going to have to cut 2 and then 2 from another piece of fabric. But I think I want to just go ahead and cut 4 out of this fabric. All right, and I'm just going to kind of make dots. I'm not going to draw solid lines. And I'm going to pin. I've just kind of double, triple checked that I have 4 layers of fabric and everything looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out. Save all that. Alright. So the next step is to take some sort of kind of fleecy interfacing. You don't want a high loft, and you want something that needles will easily, you can easily put them into this little book. And the way this works is you take 2, a lining and a front piece, and a lining and a front piece, like that. And then you're going to put some interfacing, but not as close to this little outer edge as this little outer edge is. Okay, so first of all, this little thing, I need to take this off. It was a pretty bow. There was a lot of embroidery, and it just has, over time, 20 years of hard use. I'll tell you what. I had put it down using glass beads onto silk ribbon, and then it had some bullion roses and just all sorts. There's some little glass beads right here. It has literally been used to death, just used to death. So here are the, these are the inner pieces, by the way, that you also need to cut. But if you don't want to, you can use this side of your little needle book. You run the risk of puncturing through to the outside, but I think this was Warm and Natural, if I'm not mistaken. It's been so long. And as you can see, you have two pieces of Warm and Natural or some type of soft. You could even use some felt, which I'm going to use for this because I have pink felt. I like the way the pink Barissima looks with the pink felt. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 4 pieces. So there will be these two out of this, and then the lining that went into this and this will also be this felt. So the thing about the lining is you want to make sure that it goes all the way to the edge, but you don't want it inside your seam allowance. So you could cut your felt for the lining 1/4 of an inch smaller, and then you just need to make sure that as you're stitching the two hearts together, you are getting as close to the felt as possible without catching the felt. But otherwise, it will cause your heart to be misshapen. I mean, you can make these as big or as small as you want. They also don't even have to be a heart shape. So if you wanted it to just be like a little interior rectangle, a circle, however you want this to look, you can make that shape as long as it fits within the two hearts, which I think that would kind of be an important aspect of your little project. Now you'll notice that this front of your book has lace inserted, and that is certainly part of the project. So I'm going to use this lace, but it is, I think it's fitting for our little Barissima project. It doesn't need to be as big as the Silk du Peony project was. As long as this has a header, which I think it does. Of course, if it doesn't have a header, you can make one by doing a basting stitch just across the top of your lace, either on your sewing machine or by hand. If you do it on your sewing machine, I recommend that you use a piece of paper behind it. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get it to go through. Okay, yes, I have a header, so I'm able to gather up my lace. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but it's a beautiful way to gather up these French laces. And so you gather and pin as you go. You don't just gather the lace up and then go back and try to shape it. So I would, pin this down on the inside. I want it to be hidden on the inside, and then I can continue to pull and ruffle and pull and ruffle, and when I turn it to the outside it will be ruffled and pretty along a stitched line like that. You can also sew this on by hand. So if you're looking for an heirloom sew by hand, French hand sewing by hand, not French hand sewing by machine, this is the perfect sized little project. So since we have already cut out our pieces of fabric, which we didn't have to do, seriously, we honestly, we could have waited. We could have said, you know what, this is probably going to be a problem. But I find this kind of fun. I enjoy doing this. This is why I have this piece of fabric that is kind of a mess. Okay, so this is how I take care of the, well, how are you going to do the embroidery on something this little dilemma? I'm going to put this right over the top, like so, so that I can see through it. I don't know if you can tell. I'll try to get you closer. So I think you can tell that you can see through this section right here in your Barissima. So, or you could draw your design before you even cut this out and go ahead and embroider it. Okay guys, and before I wrap this up today, I just out the heavier shadow embroidery that I'm doing on this little dress using silk floss. I fear I may be running out of the silk floss, but when you remove all of the markings, these little stitches suddenly begin to appear as though they are pearls, which I can't wait to show you. This is the back, and as you can see, there's the crisscross, there's the crisscross, there's crisscross, and this was like a double, I went down this, no, I take that back, I went this way and then back down this way because I wanted to catch this tail. So I wove the silk floss underneath. I finished stitching here and then kind of finished up over here. And that's one thing about this type of stitching. If you have gaps, which I think we've noticed, there are some that you can see. I don't have another hand. Well, wait a minute, let's see if I can do it like this. No. How about like that? So there is a gap right there that I will want to address with some floss, but it has to come from behind this stitching. Obviously I can't catch that on the front unless I chose to put a bullion rose right there on the front, which I could do. That's another option. So anyway, I will work on this. I will catch up with you guys. Today is Friday, July the 10th of 2020. So I will either have time to do a video tomorrow, Saturday, or I will catch up with you on Monday. I know that we're going to be doing a pond health video next week and a review of a product that was purchased and tried out. So if you have a pond, if you have a backyard pond, if your parents have a pond, if you're curious about the condition of the water, in said pond, as long as it's something that you are legally able to check. Don't just go start checking people's ponds. We will be doing a review of that product and what you need to do to fix problems that you might be having with your pond after you do the test. One small slight heads up and maybe a spoiler alert. I'll give you time to fast forward through this. So, is the product that we are going to review does not tell you what you need to do. So if you stay tuned for that next week, you'll see the product, you'll hear about the product, whether it was easy to use, hard to use, what the information is, if it's valuable, if it's, you know, not that great, and then what to do if you run into some numbers that you don't like coming from that test. So thank you again for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.